Scott D'Amore was fired by Anthem, but then the breaking news today is that he offered to buy TNA.
But why would he want to buy TNA? Why does it need to be sold? Like what?
No, he wants control of it. Like, cause he's like
Oh,
he's been there since '04. He was pretty much the not pioneer. What's the word? Like a real big influence and push for them to get back to being TNA and not Impact Wrestling anymore. So he's like
so
the heart and soul of the brand itself. And Anthem terminated his contract.
for what reason do they?
They saw the company going one way, he started another. I'm hearing reports that he wanted to spend big bucks for big talent. Anthem would rather see the big bucks in other avenues. So it was
Okay.
just a butting of heads, and they were like, "Well,
Okay,
we
so
own."
that's why he's
So
like, all right, well, if you're gonna fire me, then I'm gonna come back and buy it.
a circle gets a square.
And that is a situation that a lot of people will not say no to because look at Twitter. Twitter wasn't looking to sell. Elon Musk came in and was like, I'm going to give you this much money. And they're like, I can't say no to that kind of money. You know what I mean? Um, so I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. But who owns TNA?
Anthem.
No, but like, is it a company? It's not like a singular person.
It's a company that is actually partnered under the Endeavor umbrella. I'm pretty sure.
Interesting. Okay.
So technically, it
Um,
makes WWE and TNA partners.
Interesting. I wonder what they'll do because I feel like I understand feeling comfortable with what you're doing and like having big plans and thinking if you go this one route, then that's going to be like the right one. But sometimes you have to do things that are not comfortable. And it's possible that he's making a good point by being like, well, if it is true that he feels like, okay, we need to do this, this, and this, and the other, the company is like, no, it's like, well, maybe he's on to something here. Especially
Oh, he
now
does
that you
hurt.
are back to being TNA. Like people care about TNA again. Like, not that they didn't when it was Impact. But I mean, I think it was like a universal excitement amongst wrestling fans when it was announced that they were bringing back TNA. So I feel
Yeah,
like we're currently in the one of the best eras, if not the best era in wrestling, and I would like to see Impact or TNA, I'm sorry, to be in the same conversation with AEW and WWE. It would be nice if we could be like, okay, TNA is in there too, because right now it's just the two of them. But they have some really great talent there and they deserve to be talked about just as much. So spend the money. Like do
yeah,
something, like people will go to TNA. So,
they want to. TNA is a great place for talent, and
well, why do you think
one
a lot
thing
of
that
them who are available are going to TNA instead of AEW?
yeah, like Will
There's
Ospreay
gonna
just
be a
had
reason.
classics with Josh Alexander, and the only reason TNA, I would say, doesn't get put up there with WWE and even AEW at this point is because they don't cater really to live audiences. They make their show as something that you watch on television. You can see it with their small crowds, more intimate. So that's, I would say, a big weakness of theirs of being in
Mhm.
that conversation. You bring in these big names, you're gonna sell out. It's gonna be okay. We have this said venue, but we're selling out too fast. We don't have enough
Mhm.
seats for the people. That's a
Mhm.
good problem to have. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
that's a good problem to have. So why
That's what
not stay in
happens
that
with
direction?
NXT. That
Oh
used
my
to be like
god.
the standard in NXT. That's why Izzy, infamous Izzy, who's now a professional wrestler, she
Oh, I
would
love
literally
her.
be there every single day and like at the front of the line because they wanted to make sure that that they got seats. And it's like, yeah,
Mhm.
it's like NXT is doing so well that people are having to go early and stand in line for hours and hours and hours because if they don't, they're not going to get a seat. So to me, it's like, isn't that a good thing? Like,
It's a great thing. It's a great
yeah,
thing. Mr. Anderson, it's not that they're secretly partners. It's just not commonly known that they're partners if you
I
connect
didn't
some
know.
dots.
I
Exactly.
think it's like I think I read it, but I don't think it like registered. You know what I mean? Like,
That would make sense. I could
yeah,
absolutely see that happening because once
yeah,
I saw it and I was light bulbs went off in my head.
yeah,
So so it's not really they're secretly partners. It's just that you wouldn't know it.
yeah,
You wouldn't know it unless you did some deep diving.
yeah.
I agree. and that the TNA needs to keep going. You know, they are
Yeah.
the OG alternative. Without you don't have AJ Styles, you don't have Samoa Joe. Well, maybe no, you don't have Samoa Joe. Screw that. You don't have a lot of these no name guys and legends at this point in the industry without TNA.
Bully
And
Ray.
Bully Ray, you just have Bubba. Like without TNA, you do not have Bully Ray. You don't have Bobby Roode. You don't have Broken Matt Hardy. There's so many different constant and legendary things, iconic things. When you're talking even iconic things, Sting. You don't have Sting's, second run or third breath of whatever you want to call it with TNA and his
Mhm.
resurgence into the wrestling industry.